I feel like there's this stigma about the idea of having a spiritual awakening or achieving enlightenment. I feel like when people hear those terms, they think, you know, Buddhist monk, like somebody up in the mountains in complete isolation, meditating for 10 hours a day. And it can mean those things, but that's not necessarily true in all cases. Basically, what a spiritual awakening is the understanding that we are not our physical bodies. And, you might know that, but knowing something and understanding something are two different things. Once you fully understand this, you can't really look at life the same way again. I would almost liken it to being red pilled. I think this is like what the actual red pill is. It's when you awaken to the fact that everything around you, even, your experience as a human, as who you think you are, you watching this video, it's all an illusion. It's a lucid dream. That's the way that I like to describe it. It's basically a lucid dream. Now, growing up, I was raised in a spiritual household, and this is mostly because of my dad. My dad is a very, very spiritual person. As a kid, he would like plant ideas into my head, spiritual ideas. And it's crazy because a lot of the things that he told me, they didn't make sense to me at the time. If I'm like 11 years old, I don't know about the law of attraction. I don't like understand these things. But, as I've gotten older and matured at a spiritual level and went through my spiritual awakening, a lot of the things that he's told me started to resurface. And, for example, he had me meditating at age like 10. And when I say like he had me meditating, I don't mean like he was making me meditate. He just kind of like introduced me to it. And, I would do it like occasionally, like maybe like once a month or something like that at that age. But as I got older, I started to do it more on my own. But basically what I'm trying to say is spirituality isn't something new to me. I came up in it even though I didn't understand it yet. So I'm really thankful to have been raised in that type of environment, especially, since it wasn't like oppressive. I still had the freedom to believe what I wanted to believe, but he still introduced those concepts to me. Now, I want to fast forward to last year. I feel like last year is when things started to pick up for me at a very rapid pace. So the first thing that I noticed was I started to see angel numbers. Now, if you don't know what angel numbers are, they're basically like repeating numbers of any kind. So as a kid, I would occasionally see 1111. And, we're talking like once every couple weeks, once a month, something like that. But last year, when I started to see 111, that was something that I had never really seen before. I started seeing it every day. And when you see these numbers, your logical mind tries to rationalize what's happening. You think that it has to be a coincidence or something like that. But at a certain point, it's like, yo, like this is happening like every single day now, like multiple times a day. Now that I think about it, I think what that was like a sign that I was going in the right direction in life. Because last year is when I started my YouTube channel, and, I dropped out of school and I kind of like started chasing my dreams. Basically, I started to step into my purpose. And to this day, I still see 111 a lot, but I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. I want to fast forward again to January of this year, 2020. Now, mind you, all the way up until that point, I had been seeing 111. January, I met this girl who I've talked about in a lot of my other videos. And I know it seems like I talk about her and, our situation a lot. The reason why is because that was like the catalyst for my spiritual awakening. Every video that I'm making now, every bit of wisdom that I'm sharing with you guys can be traced back to that situation. That's why I talk about that so much, because it was like the turning point for me. That was like, an accelerator for me. Actually, let me go ahead and go back a few weeks before I met her. I started to get into the law of attraction more. I started to kind of introduce myself to that concept on a deeper level. I bought a book about it. It's called The Last Law of Attraction, book you'll ever need to read if you want to check that out. I started to watch more videos about it. Basically as a YouTuber, it was like, okay, I need to figure out how I'm gonna make this happen for myself. And that was, that was my answer, the law of attraction. So I started to look into that more. And literally like a few weeks after I started getting into it, I met her. Now, looking back on it, and you'll start to see what I mean as I go through the story, because I'm going to share some things that I didn't really share in other videos about her. But looking back on it, I think it was like, it wasn't an accident that we met. I think that it was supposed to happen. And I think that it was supposed to happen the exact way that it did. And I'm going to explain why. So basically, I met this girl, and when I met her, it was like an instant connection. And like I felt that before, with some people, but this was different. Like I've never felt anything like that before. It wasn't like your normal falling in love, catching feelings type of thing. This was like deeper than that. This was like, I've met you before. I've seen you before. I don't know where, but I've seen you before. And as we got to know each other more, it's like our lives were kind of similar in a lot of ways. And it wasn't just like our viewpoints on things. We shared a lot of the same paradigms on, working, school, things of that nature, and she was kind of a spiritual person as well. And she was like, vegetarian. Like it was like we had a lot of similarities like that, but it was like little things that seem insignificant, but when you add them up, it's like, man, we are like damn near living the same life. One of those things was that she saw the number 111 as well. When I first found that out, I remember I was on her Twitter profile, I think, and she had it in her bio. And I thought I was dreaming. I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm seeing this right now. There's just no way. It can't be. When I saw it, I thought, okay, she must have like a logical reason for having that there. There's no way she's seeing the number like I do. And so I remember I made like kind of a comment about it, but like I didn't like reference her bio. I just like told her that I see 111 a lot, and I let her tell me that she sees it a lot as well. And that's exactly what she told me. She told me that she sees it every day. And when she first told me that, I thought, there's no way, like she's lying. Like she has to be lying, which I don't know why she would lie about that, but she has to be lying. And so what we did was we started to take screenshots every time we saw it, and we would like send them to each other throughout the day. And I was like, shit, dude, like we're sending each other like 5 to 10 messages back and forth each, so we're clearly both seeing this number. And I remember our very first date, we went and saw a movie, and we saw the number again. And when we saw it, we both like pointed it out and we started laughing. But like this whole time, I was like, bro, like this is like, this must be the one. Like this must be the one for me. Up to that point, I had never met anybody that saw 111 as much as I did. When I would tell my friends about this, they thought I was crazy, or they just thought I was tripping. And so to find somebody else, especially somebody that I was looking to build, a romantic relationship with, that saw the numbers like I did, that like resonated in me on a very deep level. So now like, I was invested in this girl physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And so I developed a deep attachment to her. At the time that we started talking, I was not in a good mental state. I was going through, depression, having suicidal thoughts. I was at a very low point mentally and spiritually. So, I think that she was put in my life to kind of raise me up. She introduced a lot of concepts to me that helped me mentally. So, being with her was good mentally, but spiritually, I think we needed to be apart. I think I needed to lose her to kind of accelerate my spiritual growth, and like I said in other videos, hindsight is 20/20, but if you look at the bigger picture, a lot of the videos that I'm making now would not have been possible had I not gone through that. I think that me and her were brought together and then separated for a divine purpose. Now, this is something that I just want to like put out there, because I did a little bit of research on this and I came across the idea of twin flames. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure how I feel about the twin flame concept. And the reason why is because I feel like it has some limiting beliefs attached to it. For example, within the twin flame ideal, you never find somebody that you connect with on that level ever again. I don't like the idea of that, because I feel like we're all connected. You know, we're all one. So to say that I'm more connected to her on that level than other people, I don't really like that. It doesn't really resonate that much in me. Even though I felt it, everything that we feel, everything that we see is an illusion, you know, and that's kind of the spiritual awakening. So, you know, even though a lot of, you know, my experiences with her line up with what the twin flame ideal is, which is basically the unification of the divine masculine and divine feminine, there are definitely some parts that I just don't want to see as my truth. I don't want to hold them as my truth. For example, within the twin flame ideal, there's the idea of reunion. I don't want to limit myself to only being able to be with her to be happy. I feel like that's a miserable way to live. Like, you know, your happiness shouldn't be contingent upon anyone else. You know, I shouldn't have to be with anyone else to feel complete. So, you know, that's where I stand on that. And I can make a whole separate video about that. But anyways, after me and her separated, I started to see more angel numbers. In fact, I started to see pretty much all the angel numbers. It went from just seeing 111 to seeing 222, 333, 444, all the way up to 999. I started seeing all of them everywhere. And it was like overnight, instantaneous. As soon as we separated, it was like, bro, what is happening? You know, at first I'm thinking this is a coincidence, you know, but after a while, you just see it so much. To this day, there are still days where I see like 20 plus angel numbers in a day. And it's like, I don't go out that much. I don't spend that much time on my computer or on social media, you know? So it's like my opportunities are more limited than they were before, but I'm seeing the numbers even more now. So I started seeing these angel numbers and, you know, I don't really know what they mean, like in, you know, at the conscious level, but I'm gonna make a separate video about angel numbers. I think I'm gonna make a lot of videos from this video. So, you know, stay tuned for that. Right after me and her stopped talking, we stopped talking in March. Like, we stopped communicating in early March. Now, around that same time, I quit my job at H&M. I had this strong impulse, this gut feeling that I needed to get up out of there. And so that's what I did. A week later, a week after I quit my job, quarantine. Now I'm seeing these angel numbers and, you know, I'm going through like the dark night of the soul, basically. Like, this was like maybe the lowest point I had been. And if not, it was, you know, it was up there. So, you know, I'm in quarantine and I don't really have anything to do. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. I deleted social media too. I deleted social media in late February. And this is like another example of how me and her were kind of like on the same wavelength. I remember I woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to quit social media. But I didn't do it. You know, I started making excuses in my head. And I didn't tell anybody about this. I didn't tell her about this. I didn't tell anybody. And then a week later, she hits me up and says, yo, I just deleted all social media. You know, this is how you can hit me up. And I was like, bro, like, this is like, I'm telling you, it was weird. Like, it was really, really weird. It was unsettling, bordering on intrusive. So, you know, that's just another example. Just to show y'all that I'm really like, I'm not crazy. Like, I know somebody's going to watch this video and think like I need to be institutionalized. And I understand. I completely understand. But anyways, I deleted social media and I was in quarantine and I was going through the situation with this girl and I'd quit my job. On top of that, the NBA season got canceled. I'm a big basketball fan. I spend a lot of my time watching basketball or following basketball. So it's like every, you know, I don't want to call her a distraction, but everything that was blocking my spiritual growth was removed from my life in a matter of like 2 weeks, like literally everything. And so I had nothing to do but reflect on the situation, on previous situations, on my whole life, on myself. So, you know, that's what I did. I started to really get into more spirituality. You know, I started to embrace the spiritual side of things, particularly the law of attraction. I really started to implement that into my life. And I became borderline obsessed with consuming information related to the law of attraction and, you know, just other spiritual concepts. Now, I think the final like step for me, and I don't want to like make it sound like I'm fully enlightened. I don't think you can ever really reach full enlightenment on the physical realm. But anyways, like the next level for me was when I found out about Nofap. And this was something that my friend introduced to me. I didn't know about Nofap before that. Okay, I that was like a new concept. The only experience that I really had with Nofap was No Nut November, but it was more like, you know, a joke. I didn't realize that like it was actually a thing that people did. Now, the reason why I say Nofap was like another catalyst, I guess you could say, is because, you know, Nofap gives you a certain type of clarity, you know, and self-awareness. You become more sharp. I don't really know how else to explain it. I think it's one of those things that you kind of have to experience for yourself. But, you know, Nofap kind of helped me to really like take things up even further. After that, you know, I started making Nofap videos, and I started to make more like spiritual, self-development, self-help type videos. And like I said, everything that I'm doing now can be traced back to that situation with that girl. So, you know, I still see angel numbers to this day. You know, it's become a part of my life now, basically. You know, I'm learning to embrace all of the spiritual awakening. There was definitely a point when it gave me great anxiety, you know, but I've learned to appreciate everything that I've went through. Even though it sucked when I was going through it, especially with the girl, I realize now in retrospect how everything has led me to this exact moment.